Story 1, The Thing That Spoke Like Me. I moved into the cabin in December, right as the snow swallowed the forest roads. It wasn't much, just a one-room box of wood and drafty seams, but it was mine. After the divorce and the incident at work, I needed silence. I needed the world to leave me alone. Up here, it did. 12 miles from the nearest paved road. No Wi-Fi. No neighbors. Just cold wind and the brittle groan of pine trees shifting under the weight of snow. I chopped wood. Boiled water from the stream. Spent hours sitting in front of the stove watching the fire breathe. And I slept. Long, deep sleeps. Until I didn't. It started with a noise the second week. I'd been out late, collecting firewood from the back trail near dusk, a stupid idea in this kind of cold. The light dies fast out here. And I swear I heard it then. Mark. My name. Nothing else. Not shouted, spoken, like someone reading it off a list. The voice came from behind me, maybe 20 feet into the trees. I turned, expecting nothing. And found nothing. Just furs. The sound of snow falling off a branch. I didn't sleep that night. Sat with my boots on, axe next to the cot. Kept telling myself it was an echo. My own muttering bouncing off the trees. That's all. But the next night, it came again. Mark. Same voice. Same tone. But this time from the front of the cabin. I hadn't spoken at all that day. I hadn't even thought of my name. But there it was, spoken with my exact cadence. My voice, but not from me. I opened the door. Stepped outside into the black. The snow was undisturbed. I started locking the door at night. Not that it would help. The cabin door is little more than a warped slab of pine with a hook latch. But it made me feel like I had some kind of boundary between me and whatever was out there. The voice came every night after that. Sometimes it said my name. Sometimes it repeated things I'd muttered inside the cabin, stupid stove, or where's the lighter? But I never said those things out loud. By the fifth night, it wasn't just the voice. I woke at 2:14 a.m. to a tap 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 on the window. Just once. Soft. Measured. The kind of knock you do when you're unsure someone is home. I froze. Didn't move for over an hour. When I finally stood and looked, bare window pane, frost, my own breath. No prints in the snow below. No smudges on the glass. And yet, I knew it had happened. I tried sleeping during the day after that. Stayed awake all night with the axe next to me. I left the stove cold to avoid the crackling sounds I needed to hear. On the seventh night, I heard a second set of footsteps behind mine when I returned from the stream. I turned around fast. One set. But I'd counted two. Two rhythms. Two distinct crunches in the snow. I left the axe outside on purpose the next morning, half convinced I was losing it. I wanted to see if anything touched it. I woke to it standing upright beside my bed. Inside the locked cabin. I started pacing. Talking to myself. Not loudly. Quietly, whispers. If it was going to mimic me, I wanted to hear how fast it could learn. It repeated everything I said the next night. Perfectly. Maybe 2 seconds behind. Even the cough. Even the sarcasm. That was the worst part, hearing my own dry mutter from the trees. I didn't scream. I didn't run. I didn't leave. I just let it keep happening. Like a test I was too deep into to back out of. 3 days ago, I walked out at night with a flashlight and followed the voice. Not smart. But I needed to see. It kept calling, Mark. From different angles. Always in front. Never behind. I must have walked a half-mile into the woods before I realized the snow beneath me had no footprints. None. Not mine. Not anything's. I turned in a circle. The light flickered, even with fresh batteries. Everything was so quiet I could hear my blood moving. I said one thing out loud. Where are you? No echo. Just silence. Then the voice answered from behind. Where are you? I ran. I don't remember falling, but I must have. Woke up with pine needles in my teeth. Made it back to the cabin just before dawn. The door was open. Inside, it was warm. The stove was lit. And I was already in bed. Or something that looked like me. It sat up slowly. No expression. No reaction. Just stared. I didn't move. I backed out. Shut the door quietly. Waited outside until the sky turned white. That was yesterday. I don't know if I'm inside anymore. Or if it is. I haven't seen my own breath since I woke up today. And when I say things out loud now, I don't always feel the words forming in my mouth. Story 2, the screaming came from beneath the floor. I got to the house just before sundown. The sky looked bruised, all swollen purples and reds pressed flat against the earth. The GPS stopped working a mile out, and there hadn't been another person in sight since the last gas station. It's hard to feel smaller than you do in the desert. The place was a flat-roofed, rotting thing. A one-story shell with cracked windows, a generator in the back, and a front door that dragged on the ground like a wounded animal. But it was mine. Technically. I inherited it after my grandfather died. Never knew the man. My mother never talked about him. The only reason I came was because my brother Alex, the only person I ever trusted, died near here 3 months ago. They said it was a hiking accident. That he lost his footing and the heat got to him. But he had no reason to be out here. So here I was. I cleaned up a bit. Laid my sleeping bag in the one room that didn't smell like mildew and death. Ate a granola bar. Then sat and watched the shadows get longer. The house creaked constantly, like something shifting just beneath the surface. At 2:03 a.m., I heard it. A scream. Not distant, not muffled by walls or wind. Right beneath me. Under the floorboards. A human voice, ragged and urgent, rising like steam through the cracks. Let me out. Let me out. It lasted 1 minute. Then stopped. I didn't move. I didn't sleep. There's no basement here. By the third night, I started timing it. Every night at 2:03 a.m., exactly, the screaming began. Always the same. Always 1 minute. I tried recording it. Set my phone down with the voice memo app open. But when I played it back, the file was empty. No static. No background hum. Just nothing. I thought I might be hallucinating. Stress. Grief. Dehydration. But the floorboard under my cot, the same spot each time, would feel warm to the touch after the scream. Almost like something had passed under it, dragging heat behind. I pulled up one plank. Beneath it, sand. Dry. Silent. I went to bed with my flashlight and my boots on. The fourth night, she didn't just scream. She whispered. It came halfway through, after the usual screeching broke down into sobs. Just as the voice began to fade, I heard it change, quieter, almost thoughtful. Not terrified. Just tired. You hear me now, don't you? My name wasn't said, but I felt it. Like a thought I hadn't had yet. I started peeling up more boards the next day. My hands were blistered from the pry bar. I barely noticed. I was looking for something. Anything. A trapdoor. A void. Evidence. Instead, I found a small porcelain doll's hand. Just the hand. Clean. Like it had never been buried. I didn't tell anyone. There was no one to tell. And every night, she screamed. Always beneath me. Always 2:03. Sometimes I screamed back. Sometimes I said things I didn't remember saying. On the sixth night, the scream changed. It wasn't hers. It was mine. Same pitch. Same phrasing. I had screamed in my sleep the night before, I remembered, because I'd woken myself up doing it. But now, that exact scream echoed up from under the floorboards like a recording. I tore up half the room by noon. The wood was so old it splintered like paper. Beneath it, a hatch I hadn't seen before. Steel. Bolted. Old as hell. I didn't have a key. I barely slept. Drank from melted ice. Talked to Alex out loud. Told him if this was his idea of a goodbye, it sucked. I wasn't ready. I'd never be ready. That night, I sat on the hatch with a crowbar in my hand. 2 a.m. No scream. 2:01, still silent. Then 2:03 came, and something knocked from below. Just once. And the hatch creaked open. A breath of cold air came out from the black, but no smell. No rot. Just a soft hiss, like a sigh that had been held too long. I aimed my flashlight into it. No ladder. No floor. Just more floor, the exact same room. But untouched. As if the boards I had torn up were still there. As if I was looking down into a version of the room I hadn't broken yet. And in the middle, standing in the same place I was, looking up at me, was me. Same clothes. Same hair. Same crowbar in hand. She didn't speak. But her lips moved. I read them clearly. Come down. You have to. I shut the hatch and ran. It slammed on its own. The next morning, the floor was intact again. Not a single board disturbed. And the screaming has stopped. But I still wake at 2:03 a.m. I don't hear her anymore. I hear me, beneath the floor, begging to be let out. And I think, maybe I did go down there. Maybe I never came back up. Story 3, The Lantern in the Window. It took me half a day to hike up the ridge. The old ranger trail was more memory than map, overgrown, broken, forgotten. The outpost sat crooked near the peak, swallowed by trees that weren't there 20 years ago. Everything changes when no one's watching. The tower was still there. Rusted, leaning a little more than I remembered, but standing. A wooden skeleton with a square room at the top and a ladder that groaned with every step. I didn't come here to relive anything. I came here because I couldn't sleep. Because I still saw his face every time I closed my eyes. Benji Carter. 8 years old. Disappeared under my watch. Last seen heading back from the creek, 20 yards from me. He was never found. I told the search party he wandered off. I told the parents I was sorry. I told myself I did everything I could. But that was a lie. I knew he was gone the moment I turned around and the creek was quiet. I never should have brought him up this trail. The outpost's interior was dead quiet. Cobwebs over the old cot. A few moldy ranger logs in the drawer. The radio was still there, broken, of course. And the lantern. The one mounted in the tower window. I laughed when I saw it. Still there, still cracked. No batteries. I checked. No gas in the base, either. Just dust and spider legs. I didn't remember leaving it like that. Around 7 p.m., the wind picked up. Real high-altitude stuff. Trees swaying like drunk men. Sky turned that weird purple-gray color. Then the fog crept in. It always came in October. I sat on the cot, listening. Then at 7:09 p.m., the lantern in the tower window lit up. I froze. It was soft. Faint yellow light, the exact shade it had been the night we lost Benji. There was no fuel. No wire. No circuit. Just light. It didn't flicker like flame. It pulsed. Like something breathing. I didn't go up the ladder that night. The next morning, I packed my bag and left. The woods were still. No fog. No wind. Sunlight filtered through orange leaves. It felt safe. I followed the ridgeline down, tracing my own trail from the day before. It was slow but familiar. At the bottom, I hit the creek, dry now, just stones and bones of frogs long gone. I turned left toward the county road. Walked 2 hours. When I looked up again, I was at the base of the outpost. I stood there, panting. Sweating. Staring up at the tower. No, I told myself. I had walked the other way. But there it was. The same black stump. The same moss-choked trail marker. The same tower above, watching me. I climbed the ladder. The door at the top was open. Inside, nothing had changed. Except the clock on the wall, the one that hadn't worked in 20 years, now ticked, slowly. The second hand was moving. But the minute hand was stuck at 7:10. I left again. This time through the eastern slope. No trails. Just forest and instinct. Made it to a clearing. Slept in the dirt. Woke up just after 6 p.m. Fog again. Same scent. Wet stone. Rotten leaves. Pine sap and something older. By the time I returned to the clearing's edge, I saw the tower light already glowing. Early this time. It flickered once. Then again. Like a signal. Like it knew I was there. I stopped trying to leave. Every path led back. Every map folded in on itself like paper dipped in water. I stayed inside during the days. Ate whatever I packed. Slept less and less. And each night, I watched the lantern light up at 7:09 p.m. The fifth night, I climbed up into the tower. I don't remember deciding to. The hatch creaked open like it had been waiting. The air was colder up there, wrong cold, like a freezer door opening. The lantern glowed bright. Steady. A warm gold. And next to it, pressed against the window from inside, was a handprint. Small. Child-sized. I stepped closer. The fog outside was thick now. I couldn't see the trees anymore. But I saw movement in the glass, not a reflection. A shadow behind me. Then the voice. You said you'd wait by the creek. I turned. He stood in the far corner. Benji. Exactly as I remembered. Blue hoodie. Torn sneakers. That chipped tooth from falling off the school bus steps. But his eyes didn't match. They weren't angry. They weren't sad. They were still. Like he'd been waiting for me longer than I could understand. I whispered, I'm sorry. He said nothing. Just lifted his hand. Pointed at the lantern. It pulsed. And for a moment, everything froze. No wind. No sound. Just me and him and that ticking clock stuck at 7:10. And then I remembered. I hadn't told him to wait by the creek. I had told him to go back alone. I wanted 5 minutes to finish my smoke. Just 5 minutes. That's why I never found him. That's why he never made it. He didn't wander off. He listened to me. And now he was waiting again. I left the tower. Slowly. Didn't speak. Didn't look back. That was last night. It's 6:58 p.m. now. I'm sitting in the cabin below. And I can already see the light in the tower beginning to glow, early again. The wind is rising. The clock above me ticks. Still stuck at 7:10. I don't think this place is going to let me go. And maybe that's fair. Because someone should be here. To wait with him.